It wakes us up. It fuels our mornings. Hey, it connects people across cultures, continents, and generations. Coffee every day. Over 2 billion cups are consumed worldwide. But where did this global obsession begin? Who first discovered coffee? And how did it become a symbol of energy, culture, and conversation? In this episode of The Origin of, we brew up the incredible centuries-long journey of coffee, from ancient legends to modern espresso machines. Our story begins in the highlands of Ethiopia, sometime around the 9th century. According to legend, a young goat herd named Kaldi noticed that his goats became unusually energetic after eating red berries from a certain shrub. Curious, Kaldi tried the berries himself and felt a surge of vitality. Excited, he brought them to a local monastery. The monks, skeptical at first, threw the berries into the fire. But as the aroma of roasted beans filled the air, their curiosity was piqued. They brewed the roasted beans into a drink and found it helped them stay awake during long hours of evening prayer. Whether or not Kaldi truly existed, the legend marks the symbolic birth of coffee. From Ethiopia, coffee made its way across the Red Sea to Yemen, where it found a new home in the Sufi monasteries of the 15th century. Sufi mystics used coffee to stay alert during spiritual rituals. They called it kawa, derived from a word meaning invigorating. The drink spread quickly through the Islamic world. In cities like Mecca, Medina, Cairo, and Baghdad, coffee houses known as kava khane became popular social hubs for music, poetry, political discussion, and storytelling. By the 16th century, coffee was an integral part of Middle Eastern culture. In the early 17th century, coffee reached Europe via Venetian and Ottoman traders. Initially controversial, coffee was called the bitter invention of Satan by some clergy. But Pope Clement VIII tasted it, loved it, and blessed it. Soon, coffee houses began to appear across major European cities. Oxford, the first English coffee house, opened in 1650. London, by 1700, there were over 500 coffee houses. Paris Procope became a meeting place for philosophers like Voltaire and Rousseau. These were called penny universities because, for the price of a cup, anyone could join in intellectual debates. As demand exploded, European powers sought to control coffee production. The Dutch smuggled coffee plants from Yemen and established plantations in Java by the late 1600s. The French took coffee to the Caribbean, especially Martinique, the Spanish to Central America, and the Portuguese to Brazil. These tropical plantations relied heavily on slave labor, making coffee one of the many commodities tied to colonial exploitation. By the 18th century, coffee had gone global, grown in the colonies, consumed in Europe, and traded like gold. No country embraced coffee like Brazil. In 1727, coffee was introduced to Brazil under mysterious circumstances involving espionage and romance. By the 19th century, Brazil became the world's largest coffee producer. The scale of Brazilian coffee production was massive, with millions of enslaved Africans forced to work the fields. Even after slavery was abolished, coffee shaped Brazil's economy, infrastructure, and even politics. To this day, Brazil remains a coffee superpower. In the 19th and 20th centuries, coffee culture took on new forms. The invention of the percolator and espresso machine transformed brewing. The American diner became synonymous with a bottomless cup. In Italy, espresso bars popped up on every street corner. In Vienna, became cultural centers with chandeliers and classical music. Coffee evolved from a stimulant to a lifestyle. Then came the 20th century revolution. In 1971, a small shop opened in Seattle. Starbucks. It helped launch the second wave of coffee, focused on branding, consistency, and global expansion. By the 2000s, a third wave emerged, one that treated coffee like wine or craft beer. Beans were sourced ethically. Baristas became artisans. Terms like single origin, cold brew, and pour-over entered the mainstream. Today, coffee is a $100+ billion industry and a symbol of both everyday ritual and elite taste. Coffee is now part of daily life across the globe. Ethiopia. Traditional ceremonies involve roasting, grinding, and brewing in front of guests. Turkey. Thick, unfiltered coffee is served with fortune-telling from the grounds. Italy. Espresso is king, often enjoyed standing at the bar. Sweden. Fika is a national ritual of coffee and pastries. Vietnam. Sweetened condensed milk and iced coffee are iconic. United States, from diners to drive-thrus to hipster coffee is everywhere. Every culture has made it their own. Modern science has explored coffee in detail. Rich in antioxidants, may boost focus, metabolism, and heart health. Overconsumption can cause anxiety or sleep issues. Meanwhile, climate change threatens coffee crops. Innovations in lab-grown beans, sustainable farming, and robotic baristas aim to keep coffee flowing. The future of coffee may look very different, but it will almost certainly still include your morning cup. From a goat's discovery in Ethiopia to bustling in every city on Earth, coffee has fueled revolutions, built empires, and connected strangers. It is more than a drink. It's a story steeped in culture, trade, struggle, and joy. This has been the origin of coffee. And if you want to learn about another beloved beverage, you can watch this episode about tea right here. So what makes tea so great? First off, it's got this rich history going back thousands of years to China. Legend says that in 2737 BC, Emperor Shenong was hanging out when some leaves fell into his cup of water, turning it a lovely amber color. He took a sip, and boom, tea was born. And since then, tea has been more than just a drink in China. It's part of their culture, a way to show respect, and even used for medicine. Tea spread from China to Korea, Japan, and eventually to Europe thanks to Marco Polo in the 13th century. Then it really took off in the 18th century when British East India Company started growing tea in India. At first, tea was just for the rich. But by the 19th century, it was a favorite drink for everyone. Different places have their own tea styles. In Turkey, they make strong black tea with a special kind of tea plant called rice tea. In Japan, they have matcha, which is green tea with a special way of whisking it. In Britain, tea time is a big deal with lots of fancy tea types and a whole ceremony around it. In India, chai tea is a mix of black tea with spices like cardamom and ginger. The US went crazy for tea too, especially after the Boston Tea Party. And now you can find all kinds of teas from simple black tea to fancy herbal infusions. People love tea for many reasons. It can help you relax, boost your health, and just makes you feel good. So whether you're sipping on a cup of Earl Grey Darjeeling or just plain old black tea, remember you are part of a big family of tea drinkers all over the world who have been enjoying this drink for thousands of years.